Good morning, everyone. We are the group number 5, and our report focuses on project scope management. Have you ever wondered about what is project scope management? Well, that's exactly what we're here to explain. Let's begin. What is project scope management? When we say scope, it refers to all the work involved in creating the products of the project and processes used to create them. So when we say scope, it is everything you need to do for a project, all the tasks and steps. An example of scope related to the capstone project is everything your group needs to do, like planning the website, designing the pages, writing the content, coding the feature, testing, and presenting it to the class. Sa madaling salita, ang scope o saklaw ay lahat ng trabaho na gagawin mo. A deliverable is a product produced as part of a project, such as hardware or software, planning documents, or meeting minutes. When we say deliverable, anything you actually create for that project, like a finished essay, a presentation, or even meeting notes. It's the tangible result of your work. An example of deliverable related to the capstone project is the deliverables, which are the actual thing you create, the finished website, a design documents, a presentation slideshow, and maybe even a user manual. In short, ang deliverables ay ang mga natapos na produkto na ipapasa mo. So when we say project scope management, includes the processes involved in defining and controlling what is or not included in a project. So when we say project scope management, a defined process for completing a temporary project. It means that when we are working on our capstone project, we focus on ensuring that the project includes all the necessary work and only the necessary work to complete it successfully. It's about defining and controlling the boundaries to avoid scope creep, which means uncontrolled changes or additions to the project scope. Ito ay tumutukoy sa pagtukoy, pagkontrol, at pagpapanatili ng mga hangganan ng isang proyekto, kasama ang lahat ng mga gawain, paghahanda, at mga kinakailangang mapagkukunan upang makamit ang mga layunin ng proyekto nang hindi lumalagpas sa itinakdang budget o schedule. Here are the main types of project scope management processes. The first project scope management is planning scope management. A planning scope management is the process of creating a scope management plan that documents how the project scope will be defined, validated, and controlled. It is essentially creating a blueprint for how you'll manage the project's boundaries. The planning scope management for a capstone project defines what is and isn't included, setting clear boundaries for tasks, deliverables, and resources to prevent scope creep and ensure project goals are met. The second project scope management is the collecting requirements. In a capstone project, it is the process of identifying, documenting, and managing the needs and expectations of the stakeholders of your projects. It is about figuring out exactly what feature it needs to have to be considered successfully. Layunin nito na maintindihan at maisulat ang lahat ng kailangang detalye na magiging batayan para sa pagbuo ng detalyadong scope ng proyekto, budget, schedule, at iba pang mga plano. In short, collecting requirements is a crucial step in any capstone projects. It is about understanding the problem you are trying to solve, the needs of your stakeholders, and the features your project needs to have to be considered a success. The third project scope management is defining scope. It is the process of developing the detailed description of the project. In a capstone project, it is about documenting exactly what will be included in a project, equally important, and what will not be included. This creates a clear boundary for the project, helping to prevent scope creep and ensuring that the project team focuses on delivering the agreed upon deliverables. The fourth project scope management is creating the work breakdown structure. It is involves visually organizing project deliverables into different levels based on dependencies. The fifth project scope management is controlling scope. Monitor scope status so that changes can be managed against the scope baseline, scope creep can be prevented, and project goals can be achieved. Relating the concept of controlling scope to a capstone project involves applying the principles and practices of scope management to ensure the successful completion of the project within defined boundaries. Controlling scope in a capstone project means staying focused, managing changes, delivering what you promised. The first step in project management is planning how the scope will be managed throughout the life of the project. The project team uses expert judgment, data analysis, and meeting to develop two important outputs. The first one is scope management plan. The scope management plan is a subsidiary part of the project management plan, as described in Chapter 4, the Project Integration Management. It can be informal and broad or formal and detailed based on the needs of the project. Ibig sabihin, ang scope management plan ay isang mahalagang bahagi ng pamamahala ng proyekto na nagbabalangkas kung paano tutukuyin, bubuo, susubaybayan, kukontrolin, at beberipikahin ang scope management. In general, a scope management plan includes the following information. First, prepare a detailed project scope statement. For example, are there templates or guidelines to follow? How much detail is needed to describe each deliverable? Second, create a WBS or work breakdown structure. It is often difficult to create a good WBS or work breakdown structure. This section of a scope management plan would provide suggestions, samples, and resources for creating a WBS. Third, maintain and approve the work breakdown structure. The initial work breakdown structure often change, and project team members disagree on what should be included. The scope management plan describes guidelines for maintaining the work breakdown structure and getting approval. Fourth, obtain formal acceptance of the completed project deliverables. It is extremely important to understand the process for obtaining formal acceptance of completed deliverables, especially for projects in which payments are based on formal acceptance. Fifth, control requests for changes to the project scope. This process is related to performing integrated change control, as described in Chapter 4. Organizations often have guidelines for submitting, evaluating, and approving changes to scope. And this section of the scope management plan would specify how to handle changes, requests for the project. The second important output of planning scope management is requirements management plan. A requirement is a specific thing a project must deliver successfully. It's a key feature, functions, and characteristic that the final product or result needs to have to meet a business needs or solve a problem. Requirements are not optional. They are essential for the project to be considered a success. It's all about making sure that the project meets a specific needs or solve a problem. If a requirements isn't met, the project won't be considered a success. The second step in project scope management is often the most difficult, collecting requirements. A major consequence of not defining requirements well is rework, which can consume up to half of project costs, especially for software development projects. There are several ways to collect requirements. Interviewing stakeholders. Interviewing stakeholders is a crucial process in project management, business analysis, and other fields. It is a primary method for gathering requirements, understanding needs, managing expectations, and ensuring project success. Second, holding focus group and facilitate workshop. Holding focus group and facilitate workshop are valuable techniques for gathering requirements, brainstorming ideas, and building consensus among stakeholders in a project or organization. Third, using group creativity and decision-making techniques. Using group creativity and decision-making techniques is essential for effective stakeholder engagement, especially when gathering requirements, solving problems, or making critical project choices. This method fosters collaboration, leverage diverse perspective, and build consensus. Fourth, utilizing questionnaires and surveys. Utilizing questionnaires and survey is a powerful method for gathering data from a large number of stakeholders efficiently and cost-effectively. They are particularly useful for understanding opinions, preferences, and experience related to a project, product, or service. Fifth, conducting observation studies. Conducting observation studies is a valuable research method used to gather data by watching and recording behaviors, events, or physical characteristics in their natural setting. This is particularly useful when you want to understand how people actually behave rather than how they say they behave. Sixth, generating ideas by comparing specific project practices or product characteristics. Generating ideas by comparing specific project practices or product characteristics is a powerful method for identifying areas for improvement and innovation. Benchmarking involves studying the best practices of other organization or project to understand how they achieve superior performance and then adapting those practices to your own context. The graph titled Relative Cost to Correct a Software Defect illustrates how the cost of fixing a software defect escalates depending on when it's discovered during the software development life cycle. This graph clearly demonstrates that the earlier a defect is identified and corrected in the software development lifecycle, the lower the cost. This underscores the importance of investing in throughout upfront planning, rigorous testing, and proactive quality assurance measures. Requirements Traceability Matrix or RTM is a table that lists requirements, various attributes for each requirements, and the status of the requirements to ensure that all requirements are addressed. When we say RTM or Requirements Traceability Matrix is a tool used in project management and software development to ensure that all project requirements are accounted for and properly addressed. It acts as a roadmap linking project requirements to their designed elements, test cases, and other deliverables. The Requirements Traceability Matrix or the RTM helps team verify that the project delivers what was intended by tracing requirements from start to finish. This makes sure you build what you plan to build and that you test that it works as expected. It helps your capstone project organize and on track. In a capstone project, this kind of table, a requirements traceability matrix or RTM, helps you make sure everything you plan to do actually get done and meets expectations. Basically, it's a way to ensure you don't miss any important details and that your final project fulfill all the necessary requirements. The next step in project scope management is to provide a detailed definition of the work required for the project. Good scope definition is very important to project success because it helps improve the accuracy of time, cost, and resource estimates. It defines a baseline for performance measurement and project control, and it aids in communicating clear work responsibilities. In defining scope, there are important elements of a project scope statements. First is a product scope description. The product scope description is a document that clearly states what a project will deliver. It ensures everyone knows what the final product will be or its feature and how it should work. Second is product user acceptance criteria. Product user acceptance criteria are the specific requirements that a product or feature must meet for the user to say, yes, this is good enough to use. Think of it like a checklist of what must work correctly before a customer will accept the final product. The third one is detailed information on all project deliverables. The detailed information on all project deliverables means providing a comprehensive description of each item or project is expected to produce. This goes beyond just listing the deliverables. It involves specifying their characteristics, purpose, and how they will be assessed. It is also helpful to document other scope-related information. First, project boundaries, constraints, and assumption. When we say project boundaries, constraints, and assumption, they are crucial elements that define the scope and limitation of a project. They help in planning, executing, and controlling the project effectively. When we say boundaries, it is the age of the party, what's included and not. While constraint, it is the thing that limits what you can do, and assumption is the thing you think are true when planning but aren't 100% certain. Second is supporting documents references. Example is product specification. When we say supporting documents and references in a project are the materials that provide additional details, context, or proof for various aspects of the project. They are essential for clarity, accuracy, and credibility. The table 5.3 provides an example of how the scope becomes progressively more detailed in a scope statement labeled version 1 and version 2. Notice in table 5.3 that the project scope statement often refers to relate documents which can be product specification, product brochure, and other plans. As more information become available and decisions are made related to project scope, such as a specific product that will be purchased or changed that have been approved, the project team should update the project scope statement. The team might name different iteration of the scope statement version 1 and version 2 and so on. This update may also require changes to other project documents. Inaccurate requirements gathering continues to be one of the main causes of project failure. This is cited as a primary cause of project failure. For every dollar spent in project and program, 5.1% is wasted due to poor requirements management. This is the result of significant waste of resources with 5.1% of project and product spending being lost. Organizations need to develop people, processes, and culture to improve requirements management. Organizations must focus on people, processes, and culture to enhance requirements management. So, this media snapshot shows that bad project requirements lead to failure and waste money. Companies need to get better at managing them by focusing on their people, processes, and company culture. After collecting requirements and defining scope, the next step is project scope management is to create a work breakdown structure or WBS. Work breakdown structure is a deliverable-oriented grouping of the work involved in a project that defines the total scope of the project. Because most project involves many people and many different deliverables, it is important to organize and divide the work into logical parts based on how the work will be performed. The work breakdowns structure or WBS is a foundation documents in project management because it provides the basis for planning and managing project schedules, costs, resources, and changes. Because the work breakdown structure defines the total scope of the project. Some project management experts believe that work should not be done on a project if it's not included in the work breakdown structure. Therefore, it is crucial to develop a complete work breakdown structure. The project management plan, project documents, enterprise price, environmental factors, and organizational process. Assets are the primary inputs for creating a work breakdown structure. In addition to expert judgment, the main tool or techniques is decomposition. This is subdividing project deliverables into smaller pieces. The outputs of the process of creating the work breakdown structure are the scope baseline and project documents updates. Work packages are the smallest task in the project's work breakdown structure that the project manager directly monitors and controls. Their size depend on the project timeline and reporting frequency. A work package can also represent the procurement of specific products. Importantly, work package must be defined clearly enough for the project management to estimate efforts, cost, and assess the quality of the complete work. This table, figure 5.3, show a work breakdown structure for an intranet project. The top box labeled intranet represent the entire project, and it is called level 1 of the work breakdown structure. In this example, the main products to be delivered are shown in level 2, called website design, home page design, marketing pages, and sales pages. Below them are level 3 items, such as sitemap, graphics, and design, and so on. This table, figure 5.4, shows a software product release project created by PMI. Notice that instead of showing product deliverables in level 2, it is organized around deliverables for each project phase, such as product requirements, detailed design, construct, and integration and test, as well as another level 2 item for project management. Table 5.4 shows this same work breakdown structure in a tabular or list format. This level numbering is based on the Project Management Institute's Practice Standards for Work Breakdown Structures, second edition in 2006. That would be all. Thank you.